Right, Ben, I've seen your story over the weekend. Battle with Telcos. Now, why does this story matter for the Age this week?
I think we're seeing quite an interesting change in the telco industry. Before this, you just got three big boys sitting there. Now, we've seen U-Mobile actually make some headway, sitting on about 4 million subscribers. And with the spectrum refarming, it's actually more viable for new players to compete. Yeah.
Now you talk about the subscribers, right? I think Maxis got the worst, was a big impact in the prepaid segments. Yeah. What is this trend going forward for the other three telcos? Are people switching from Maxis to others in terms of prepaid?
I think there's just a lot of churn in the industry in general, but what we've seen is that telcos who are too committed to defend their margins are going to lose subscribers. And this is just with a fourth player in the market. And in this story we talk about maybe another two coming in, one backed by Telecom and one backed by YTL.
Is it the right time for the two players to come in, given the intense competition that these three big boys are already facing?
Well, if the big boys can make more than 40% margins, Maxis making almost 50% margins, I think that if the new guys are willing to settle for 30% margins, there's definitely plenty of room for them to come in.
Right, and they also have very strong balance sheets, so it wouldn't be a problem for them to invest in terms of capex, right?
Yeah. But I think the challenge in Malaysia is that the population is kind of small, so you're going to have to worry about the market being fully saturated. So it's not a blue ocean; they call it red ocean. So if you're gaining market share, you're taking it away from someone else.
Right. Okay. And then if you talk about the new products, just a glimpse of it. What have you heard from the market? Their plan to roll out. YTL has this Yes. How is it going so far?
So Yes has been pretty low profile for a while. They've just been doing the mobile broadband, not for phones, just dongles. But what I heard was that they have been preparing their whole network to go for mobile, which is likely to happen sometime this year. So if that happens, then they already have the infrastructure. They might as well launch a mobile service.
Right. Okay. And P1, TM made a foray into P1 to go from fixed line into spectrum or mobile services. How will this bode for them? What else have you heard from TM?
Well, they haven't talked much about what WeBe actually is going to offer, but it's definitely going to be in the mobile space, and it's really pretty much to complement their quad play. They want to be in all four services.
I see.
And they do a lot of bundling, I suppose.
Okay, right. And you talk about margins, and currently Maxis enjoys the highest margin. Is this sustainable then?
Probably not, seeing that to defend these margins, they lose a lot of subscribers. They've lost 1 million in the past 1 year, so I don't think it's sustainable.
Right. And in terms of margins for Celcom and DG, are they sustainable at this rate, or can you see room for growth for that part?
I don't think there's much room for growth because there are no new subscribers coming to the market,
right.
And we've seen that the new competitor is taking away market share from them, so they might feel some downward pressure on margins going ahead.
Right. Okay. And also talking about plans, I think Maxis introduced some interesting plans. 118 gigabyte and subsequently Celcom introduced another plan. So are we seeing a price war between the three telcos?
Well, they like to say that there's no price war. Even U-Mobile, Heng Tak said there's no price war, right. But he's pricing himself way below the other telcos.
Right.
For 15 gigabytes, it's almost half the price for U-Mobile. So they don't want a price war, but
the market is seeing it, right?
Much more value these days.
I see. Okay, and in terms of dividends, and I think Maxis was borrowings money to pay dividends. But is this the trend going forward, or they have enough cash to support the dividend payment?
Maxis stopped borrowing to pay dividends, or they cut down their dividends last year. And going ahead, they can sustain this level of dividends, but not if their revenue starts to get affected by the amount of subscribers they're losing.
Right. Yeah. Are investors sort of angry when Maxis cut their dividends, or is this expected?
Well, I think investors are used to dividends from telcos that are based on 40% and above margins. And if these margins cannot be sustained, at some point the dividends are going to have to adjust to a new normal. If margins settle at 30% in the long run, dividends can't stay at this current level. And maybe that's something that investors need to adjust to.
I see. Okay, and you talk about spectrum refarming. It's very interesting because DG and U-Mobile got a certain portion of the spectrum. And what is happening on the spectrum side?
So basically before this, the spectrum basically sat with the incumbents, and that allowed them to provide their service. And any new entrants only got a small amount of spectrum, which really limited their ability to have a good user experience. But now we've seen the regulator actually want to spread out the spectrum a bit more, because the incumbents don't actually need that much spectrum. So they will have to be more efficient with their infrastructure, whereas the new players will be able to provide better service to the consumers.
And one last thing, I'm not sure if you heard about Altel. What is going on with Altel? They are an MVNOs, but are they planning to be one of the MNOs?
Well, I think that MVNOs, you can kind of ignore them because they're not direct competitors with the telcos.
Right.
They just, in a way, you want to look at it, helping the telcos resell their data or their minutes. So the real competition is between the telcos, not the MVNOs.
For more on the story, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.